Welcome to Saluran Berita RTM. This is News at 10 with me, Brother Lepal. A new cluster named Sentosa Cluster has been detected and it involves a hospital in Kuching, Sarawak. Health Director General Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said as of noon today, 61 people from this cluster had been screened and 5 of them tested positive for COVID-19, while the other 56 tested negative.
Kes pertama kluster ini ialah kes 8,773 merupakan seorang petugas kesihatan yang telah mengalami gejala saluran pernafasan pada 13 Julai 2020 dan dikesan positif COVID-19 pada 19 Julai 2020, iaitu kluster ini ialah kluster Sentosa. Susulan itu, siasatan dan aktiviti pengesanan kes secara aktif, iaitu active case detection, telah dijalankan.
Dr. Noor Hisham said services at the affected hospital is still being carried out and that outpatients would be referred to hospitals nearby for treatment for the time being. He said preventive measures such as disinfection have also been conducted. Meanwhile, the number of new COVID-19 cases in the country hit double digits for the third straight day after 15 cases were reported today. Dr. Noor Hisham said this brings the cumulative figure of positive cases to 8,815 cases, with 130 of being active cases. He said of the 15 new cases, 4 are imported cases who were infected abroad, involving 3 Malaysians and 1 foreigner who was allowed into the country for work purposes, while among the 11 local transmissions, 10 are Malaysians, while 1 case involved a foreigner who had been screened at the Immigration Detention Centre in Semujam, Sarawak. 7 recoveries were recorded, bringing the total number of patients discharged to 8,562. Up until now, only 4 cases are still treated at ICU wards, with 1 requiring ventilator support. No new fatalities were reported, maintaining the death toll at 123 cases. Malaysians abroad need not do COVID-19 swab tests before returning home, as they will be placed under quarantine upon arrival. Senior Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, however, added that those returning from abroad will have to bear COVID-19 quarantine costs themselves.
Bermula daripada hari Jumaat ini, iaitu 24 Julai 2020, semua rakyat Malaysia yang pulang dari luar negara, termasuk warga asing yang dibenarkan, 4 kategori yang dibenarkan, bila sampai saja ke tanah air, mereka akan dikuarantin wajib di pusat-pusat kuarantin yang ditetapkan oleh kerajaan. Mulai hari Jumaat ini, tidak ada lagi kuarantin wajib di rumah ataupun home quarantine, tetapi di pusat-pusat kuarantin wajib seperti yang kita laksanakan sebelum PKPP dulu. Mereka yang terlibat perlu menanggung sepenuhnya kos kuarantin di stesen-stesen kuarantin, sama ada di institusi latihan awam atau hotel berdasarkan kos yang telah dipersetujui.
Speaking at a news conference on the Recovery RMCO at Parliament Building, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said this was decided at the special meeting of ministers on the Movement Control Order MCO today. On the old folks' home in Kluang, Johor, where a new COVID-19 cluster was detected there yesterday, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said there will not be a full lockdown on the old folks' home, but instead an administrative lockdown. He, however, added that no visitors will be allowed at the old folks' home throughout the 14-day administrative lockdown in place. The senior minister said workers who work at the home will also have to undergo swab tests.
Jadi kita tak boleh, kalau tidak kita terpaksa stop pekerja yang tinggal di luar daripada masuk. Kita benarkan, tetapi kita akan membuat swab test. Tapi mungkin selepas ini NGO yang selama ini ataupun orang-orang awam yang datang melawat ke rumah tersebut tidak dibenarkan masuk selama 14 hari semasa kuarantin.
The Health Ministry said investigations and tracing activity have been carried out. As of noon yesterday, 39 people have been screened, including 14 who tested positive for COVID-19, 18 who turned out negative, and 7 more are still awaiting results. According to the Health Ministry, containment and infection control measures have been carried out, including decontamination and debacterialization at home. It added that the source of the cluster is still being investigated. On another note, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri stressed that there will be no more warning or advice, adding that police will no longer compromise with those who disobey or violate the Recovery Movement Control Order (RMCO). The senior minister said that yesterday alone, 80 individuals had been arrested for violating the RMCO. 20 have been remanded, 4 were released on bail, while 56 were issued compounds. The senior minister said that 43 of the individuals were detained for attending a gathering involving a crowd, which made it difficult to implement social distancing, while the 37 others were for nightclub activities.
Sehubungan dengan itu, kerajaan melalui Kementerian Perumahan dan Kerajaan Tempatan (KPKT) dan pihak berkuasa tempatan diarahkan untuk meningkatkan pemantauan dan penguatkuasaan ke atas kelab-kelab malam dan pusat hiburan yang beroperasi semasa tempoh PKPP ini. Ini termasuk tindakan menggantung lesen perniagaan mereka.
Overall, police conducted 62,104 inspections on SOP compliance yesterday. The places inspected included supermarkets, eateries, stalls, factories, public markets, and houses of worships. Authorities are currently probing the motive behind the vandalism of the mural in Shah Alam dedicated to the nation's leaders. Home Minister Datuk Seri Hamzah Zainuddin says police are looking into several angles, whether it involved criminal intentions or otherwise.
Siapa yang melakukannya dan orang jenis macam mana yang melakukannya. Jadi sehingga kita dah dapat keputusannya, barulah kita umumkan nanti. Kalau orang biasa yang buat conteng-conteng ini, dia merupakan sesuatu yang melakukan kesalahan. Kerana vandalism dalam negara kita bukan hanya conteng gambar orang-orang tertentu. Dia menconteng apa-apa sekalipun adalah merupakan satu vandalism. Jadi kita akan ambil tindakan mengikut penyesuaian.
Yesterday, the mural that adorned a wall at Taman Cahaya Alam in section U12 was found sprayed with red paint and obscenities. CCTV footage, which made the rounds of social media, shows the car stopping at the alley where the mural was painted. 2 individuals believed to have defaced the portraits were seen walking towards the wall where the portraits were painted before leaving. The Kuala Lumpur High Court today is set to 22nd to 26th of March next year to hear Dr. Zaki Naik's 2 defamation suits against Penang Deputy Chief Minister 2 P. Ramasamy. The suits were filed separately in October and December 2019 on the allegation that Ramasamy issued defamatory statements involving the independent preacher, besides linking Dr. Zaki to the LTTE issue. Judge Dato' Muhammad Firoz Jafril set the trial dates during the case management with lawyers Dato' Akberdin Abdul Kadir and Mio Hafiz Salihan representing Dr. Zaki, while lawyer Lee Mei Jian acted on behalf of Ramasamy. The judge also set the 13th of October for further case management and both parties to file witness statements before or on the 1st of March next year. When met by reporters after the proceedings, Dato' Akberdin said a total of 5 plaintiff witnesses, including Dr. Zaki, will will be called to testify. On 16 October 2019, Dr. Zaki sued Ramasamy for allegedly issuing defamatory statements which were uploaded on social media sites and news portals between 2016 and 2019. Dr. Zaki also claimed that on the 11th of August 2019, the defendant had manipulated his speech during an event organized by the Kelantan government, and it was also published on the FMT portal on the same day. Ramasamy, on the 20th of August 2019, was alleged to have issued defamatory statement against the plaintiff published by the international media India Today. Dr. Zaki filed another suit against Ramasamy in December 2019 over the latter's comments carried by online news portal The Malaysian Insight regarding the LTTE issues. Fares expected to return to normal by November. But first, construction work on the Rapid Transit System, RTS, connecting Johor Bahru and Singapore is scheduled to begin in January next year, and the system is expected to be operational at the end of 2026. Now, this was decided at a recent meeting between Malaysia and Singapore. Transport Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Wee Ka Siong said the two countries were scheduled to sign an agreement on the project on the 30th of July at the Johor Causeway at a ceremony to be witnessed by the Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin and his Singapore counterpart Lee Hsien Loong.
Pembinaan RTS link ini akan berjalan dalam dua fasa, iaitu dari awal tahun 2021 hingga hujung tahun 2024. Fasa pembinaan atau fasa pembangunan pembinaan struktur sivil, manakala dari awal 2025 hingga hujung tahun 2026 merupakan fasa pembinaan sistem seperti signaling, rolling stock, telekomunikasi, pentauliahan dan juga pengujian sistem.
The minister said this during the question and answer session in the Dewan Rakyat today. The RTS, a 4-kilometre rail line between Bukit Chagar in Johor Bahru and Woodlands in Singapore, will have the capacity to carry 10,000 passengers per hour. Construction should have begun last year, but work has been postponed several times. The project cost has been reduced to 3.16 billion ringgit from the original 4.93 billion ringgit. Datuk Seri Dr. Wee also told the Dewan Rakyat that flight ticket prices are expected to return to the 2019 average by this November after airline operations resume at their actual capacity. The Transport Minister said, based on Malaysian Aviation Commission MAVCOM analysis, the matter would however depend on the COVID-19 pandemic situation. Datuk Seri Dr. Wee said to fully recover from COVID-19 impact, the airline companies would need 18 months for domestic routes and 3 years for the international sector.
Menurut syarikat penerbangan, walaupun kerajaan telah memutuskan untuk memberi pengecualian arahan penjarakan sosial di dalam pesawat, tiket penerbangan tidak semestinya akan turun dengan serta-merta. Syarikat penerbangan perlu memastikan terdapat permintaan berterusan dan stabil sebelum harga tambang dapat kembali ke tahap normal seperti sebelum wabak COVID-19.
He said MAVCOM was also instructed to carry out continuous monitoring on fares being charged and to have engagement sessions with the airlines concerned to ensure competitive pricing. On the number of cancelled flights and passengers affected, Datuk Seri Dr. Wee said from January to June, a total of 169,728 domestic and international flights were cancelled, involving 3 national airlines, namely AirAsia, Malaysia Airlines and Malindo. As a result, 4.316 million passengers were affected. The government has given the assurance that it will not increase the water tariff as the people are faced with economic burdens as the COVID-19 pandemic, which has not yet ended. Water Environment Minister Dato' Tuan Ibrahim Tuan Man said the government would in fact bear the cost for the benefit of the people as they face this critical situation. Speaking at Dewan Rakyat, the minister said any nationwide water review will take into consideration the parties involved in water management and the National Water Services Commission SPAN, as the monetary body for water supply will hold discussions with all concerned.
Pertama sekali kita harus mengakui bahawa tarif air di negara kita ini rendah, ya, berbanding ke peluang-peluang hidup yang lain. Sebagai satu perbandingan saya ingin menyebut di sini, tarif air yang dibayar oleh pengguna pada pembelanjaan sebulan ialah hanya 5% saja. Berbanding elektrik 34%, komunikasi 17%, saluran TV berbayar 13%, internet 28%, tapi untuk air hanya 5% saja.
The gradual opening of the economy and the implementation of the Recovery Movement Control Order (RMCO) have enabled the people and businesses to start generating income and repay their financial loan. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Aziz said the next step that can be taken is for more targeted assistance to those who are still in need.
Bank-bank tempatan ialah untuk membuat pertolongan secara lebih bersasar. Ya. Satu contoh ialah memanjangkan tempoh bayaran sekaligus mengurangkan ansuran bulanan. Satu lagi contoh ialah mengubah terma dan syarat serta mengurangkan kadar faedah, memberi pelepasan juga lain sehingga peminjam stabil.
Speaking at Dewan Rakyat, the minister stressed that the bank's loan repayment moratorium is for a period of 6 months only and will end at the end of September. According to the Finance Ministry, the loan repayment moratorium by financial institutions beginning from the 1st of April is estimated to amount to about 51.4 billion ringgit as of the 6th July. Under the Prihatin initiative, the government has allocated 100 billion ringgit for the moratorium. Meanwhile, Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul said the government has no immediate plans to increase allocations in the economic stimulus packages. Any subsequent addition, he said, is contingent on the country's economic recovery process.
Buat pada masa ini kita belum lagi ada rancangan untuk membuat tambahan kepada pakej prihatin dan bencana. Fokus kita sekarang ialah untuk melindungi rakyat, menyokong perniagaan dan memperkukuhkan ekonomi kita. Terima kasih.
Earlier, the minister told Parliament that the government introduced more than 80 initiatives under the Prihatin Rakyat Economic Stimulus Package, Prihatin, Prihatin Plus for small and medium enterprises, and the National Economic Recovery Plan, Penjana. The three packages were introduced to revitalize the country's economy that has been ravaged by the COVID-19 pandemic. As of 17th of July, the implementation of one-off initiatives under the Prihatin packages is at 91%. Now, the government has agreed to create the Malaysia Muda #MyMuda initiative, which is aimed at assisting companies and businesses which are burdened by red tape and bureaucracy. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Economy, Datuk Seri Mustafa Mohamad said the initiative would also lower business costs and create jobs while stimulating the economy. In a statement today, the minister added that the Prime Minister, Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin, had directed the Economic Action Council, EAC, and the Malaysian Productivity Council, MPC, to intervene and to act as a solutions provider to the matter. Datuk Sri Mustafa said company and business owners can forward the red tape issues that they face through the unified online public consultations besides taking part in dialogues which are held by EAC and MPC. He also said that issues brought up will be analysed by the Business Facilitation Action Team, Pemuda, and escalated to the EAC meetings to be assessed before a decision was made. Besides that, he said ministries and state governments are also urged to set clear targets in an effort to reduce compliance costs, which were applicable to companies and businesses. The government will still implement the 5G technology, although the focus now is towards optimizing 3G and 4G usage. Citing the recent Chinese state by-election as an example, Communications and Multimedia Minister Datuk Saifuddin Abdullah said 3G and 4G access was available in the rural areas of this constituency.
Contoh yang terdekat dan terbaru ialah di Chini. Kebetulan ada pilihan raya kecil di Chini. Kita buat siasatan tentang capaian internet di sana. Kita dapati bahawa ada tempat yang ada connectivity, ada yang tidak. Tetapi apabila kita bincang dengan syarikat-syarikat telekomunikasi, sebenarnya boleh di roll out dan sampai ke hampir seluruh kawasan luar bandar seperti di sana, di Chini, dengan menggunakan 3G dan 4G. Saya tidak mengatakan kita tak nak buat 5G. Yang saya maksudkan ialah kita roll out betul-betul, kita nilai semula kedudukan 3G dan 5G.
The minister was replying to a supplementary question from Kimanis MP Datuk Muhammad Alamin in the Dewan Rakyat. Datuk Muhammad had asked about the ministry's strategy to achieve the target of 98% broadband coverage in populated areas by 2023 with speeds of 30 megabits per second so that 5G can be implemented effectively throughout the country, especially in Sabah and Sarawak. That's it from us in our top story. No more home quarantine following SOP violations. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, I'm Brandon Lepal. Good night.